Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports, episode 29 on Spreaker. I'm Taylor Phillips. Tonight we're just going to talk some Tigers. We're going to recap their 4-2 win over the Mariners, which helped them back into the playoff spot. Also, we're going to touch a bit more on Joe Nathan, who continues to apologize. And of course, the Jim Johnson call-up, which sent Melvin Mercedes down. Melvin Mercedes, the relief pitcher who pitched lights out last Friday. I'll give my opinions on that. But first, Jason Beck writes a recap from MLB.com. Price puts Tigers back into playoff spot in Detroit. The largest crowd at Comerica Park since opening day made it through concert traffic, road construction, a classic car cruise, and other obstacles to watch David Price's home debut as a Tiger. The only traffic they were watching in the eighth inning of the Tigers' eventual 4-2 win were Mariners cluttering the base paths and manager Brad Ausmus walking to the mound. Whenever Rays manager Joe Maddon had visited the mound on him in Tampa Bay, he indicated he was usually done. With the tying run on base after a one-out walk, the number 9 hitter, Chris Taylor, Price figured the same fate awaited him here. Ausmus had his bullpen up and warming, but he wasn't pointing. The visit was so brief that he was barely talking. It was quick enough that it resembled Ausmus's predecessor, Jim Leyland, marching to the mound in a similar situation last year and telling Justin Verlander he was going to get his manager fired. It wasn't nearly that dramatic. Brian Ausmus quoted, "I wanted to get a feel for how he was doing, but he made it extremely clear that he was good." And David Price responded, quote, "A lot of guys might look down and say, 'I'm fine,' and then the manager probably doesn't believe them. So I made sure I stared him right in the eyes and I let him know that I was fine," unquote. That was good enough for Ausmus. Price added, quote, I'm pretty sure that's the first time I ever heard the manager come out and I've been able to stay in the game. That's cool. I love that," unquote. So too did Ausmus, who quoted, "He was good and I was happy." Tiger fans have asked about Ausmus' decisions on pulling starters or sticking with them several times in his first season at the helm. This wasn't one of them. As Ausmus walked back to the dugout, he received an ovation. And after Price struck out ex-Tiger Austin Jackson and retired Dustin Ackley on a force to leave the bases loaded, or strand runners on the corners, technically, after the force at second, much of the sellout crowd of 43,833, according to Dan Dickerson, rose to their feet to give Price a standing ovation. Price said, quote, "It was a great atmosphere, it was fun, and I enjoyed it," unquote. The victory puts the Tigers back into the second American Wild the second American League wildcard spot, a half game ahead of the Mariners. It also drew Detroit within a half game of the AL Central lead after the Royals lost at Minnesota 4-1. Felix, more importantly, it gave a reminder that the Tigers can put an ace against the best pitcher in the league and come out on top, not just with stingy innings, but with good at-bats. While Price earned his first win as a Tiger, Detroit earned Felix Hernandez an early exit. They had a good approach, a tough approach, Felix Hernandez reported. He gave up 2 runs over 5 innings before leaving as a precaution following a comebacker off his hip. They took a lot of pitches. Hernandez came in with a record streak of 16 consecutive starts with 7 innings or more and 2 runs or less allowed. Even at that standard, Price likely would have outpitched him. However, the Tigers milked pitches out of Hernandez early, putting up 4 singles in the first 8 batters and lengthening at-bats otherwise. Tigers catcher Alex Avila explained the situation. He said, quote, "We were able to get him, but the thing about Felix is when you get to him, it's 2 runs. You have to make sure you have a guy like David Price," unquote. Though the two starters had never pitched opposite each other like this before, the Tigers acquired Price 16 days ago with matchups like these in mind. They were just thinking about October rather than August. That was before the combination of an August slump and a late summer tear from the Royals, knocked Detroit out of first place in the division. Once the M's beat them Friday night for a 5th straight win, the Tigers were on the outside looking in on the wild card race as well. And Price transitioned from playoff trump card to late summer slump buster. Well, I'd say he's both. Price held the M's hitless for 3 innings before Jackson doubled leading off the 4th and scored on a Robinson Cano groundout. From there, Price retired 12 more Mariners in a row before a 7th inning infield single. By the time Price faced more than one runner on base, he was in the 8th inning. It ended up being his one real threat of the night. The bases were loaded with 1 out, but he struck out Jackson. And then he got a ground out to end that inning. He finished with 8 innings of 3-hit ball with 7 strikeouts. Price quoted, "It's awesome. Felix, the way he's been throwing the ball for his last 15, 16 starts, it's history." For us to be able to break that up, it's big. Whenever you face a guy like him, you have to come correct, and that's what we did tonight, unquote. So David Price in a winning effort struck out 7. Felix Hernandez pitched 5 innings flat, gave up 7 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. Price walked 3. Joe Nathan picked up his 25th save out of 30 opportunities. Out of his 30th save opportunity. He gave up a run on 2 hits, but he didn't walk anybody or strike anybody out. He just got them out. Eugenio Suarez opened the scoring with an RBI ground out in the second inning. The Mariners tied it up at 1 on a Robinson Cano RBI ground out. Nick Castellanos would respond in that 4th inning with a solo blast to left. He finished 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. That home run made it 4-2. The Tigers would add 2 more in the 7th on 2 RBI singles by J.D. Martinez and Nick Castellanos. The Mariners would get their second run in the 9th inning off Joe Nathan with an RBI single by Endy Chavez. So Price with his first win as a Tiger, 12-8 overall this season. Hernandez a rare loss, and Nathan 25th save out of his 30th attempt, as I just mentioned. Nick Castellanos now has 10 home runs. His average is .264. Not all that great, but it's still good. Fox Sports Detroit's Dave Hogg says Joe Nathan's save tonight was emotional. Joe Nathan has saved 366 games in his career, but none of them might have been more emotional than Saturday night against Seattle. Pitching for the first time since Wednesday's profane gesture directed at the Comerica Park fans that had booed him, Nathan had a shaky 9th inning, but picked up his 25th save despite allowing a run. Nathan explained, and I quote, "I still feel absolutely terrible about what I did on Wednesday. I apologized on Thursday, but I'm apologizing now because I want the fans to Detroit to understand that I am truly sorry. I have never been involved in any controversy in my career, not once, and I'm so disappointed that I let my frustration get the best of me," unquote. Nathan was greeted with a mixture of cheers and boos when he was introduced at the start of the ninth inning, but Tigers manager Brad Ausmus said it was past time to get his closer into another game. Ausmus explained, quote, he was going to have to pitch here again, and there was no sense trying to keep delaying it. It was good to get him out there, and it was good that he got through it relatively unscathed, unquote. The 39-year-old's reception turned entirely to boos when Robinson Cano started the inning with a single, and things didn't get much better when he misplayed Kendry Morales' grounder, turning what should have been a double play into a single out at first. Nathan quoted, "I was nervous going out there, and even though Cano hit a pretty good pitch, I can't kick the double play ball to the next batter. At that point, I just needed to calm myself down." Andy Chavez followed with an RBI single, cutting the deficit to 4-2. But Nathan got Kyle Seager to hit into a game-ending double play. 3-6. Nathan quoted, "I was happy that I got the double play because I wanted to get that game over with as quickly as possible for the fans. I knew they wanted to see the fireworks and still get out of here before all the traffic from the One Direction concert next door, so I was trying to hurry things up." Unquote. Nathan knows that his performances this season are the reason that he isn't getting a warm reception from Tigers fans. He had posted a 5.20 ERA this season, his worst since 2000. His last season as a starter for the Giants, and he's matched his career high of 6 blown saves. He accepts that, San Francisco Giants, that is, and doesn't blame the fans for being upset, but does want them to understand that he isn't losing games due to a lack of effort. He quoted, "I think sometimes that fans feel like I get here at 9:30 at night, pitch the ninth, and then go home without caring about what happened. That's not at all how I do things. I work hard every day to be the best closer that I can be, and it eats me up inside when I have a bad game. I just hope the fans understand that. This isn't something I take lightly." At the end of the unquote. At the end of the day, though, Nathan just hopes that the fans that have sold out Comerica Park for every game in this week's homestand will eventually think of him as a quality closer and not for Wednesday's gesture. He quoted one more time, I don't want to be remembered after all my career for 3 seconds of stupidity. That's why I'm going to keep apologizing to the fans until they realize I mean it, and I'm going to do everything I can to pitch the way they expect me to pitch." Unquote. I'd actually give him the rest of this year if I were Dave Dombrowski, their general manager, and see if Nathan completely cools down or not. and still gets it done. Some news here. From SB Nation's Bless You Boys, beat writer Al Beaton, Beaton. His Twitter handle is at Big Al BYB. As expected, the Detroit Tigers have purchased the contract of recently signed right-handed relief pitcher Jim Johnson from AAA Toledo, the Mud Hens. To make room on Detroit's 25-man roster, Melvin Mercedes was sent down to AAA. I disagree with that because I thought Melvin Mercedes was actually very, very good on the mound Friday night. The 23-year-old Mercedes was called up earlier this week, making his major league debut Friday night. He pitched 2 hitless innings against the Seattle Mariners, striking out a pair in the Tigers' 7-2 loss. To make space on the 40-man roster for Johnson, John Wagner of the Toledo Blade is reporting 30-year-old journeyman relief pitcher Kevin Whelan will be designated for assignment. Whelan made 1 appearance with Detroit, allowing 2 runs and 3 hits in 11 and a third inning during the Tigers' 11-6 loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates August 11th in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. The 31-year-old Johnson is a former All-Star who recorded an MLB-leading 101 saves with a 2012-2013 with the Baltimore Orioles. But the cracks were showing during his 2013 season, and after signing a $10 million one-year deal with the Oakland Athletics to be their closer, the wheels came off. The A's demoted Johnson from the closer's role just 2 weeks into the 2014 season, ultimately designing the 9-year veteran for assignment on August 1st. Johnson was giving his walking papers after posting a 7.14 ERA, 2.05 WHIP, a 1.22 strikeout walk ratio, and a 1.11 homer per 9 innings ratio in 38 appearances, covering 40 and a third innings. In dire need of bolstering their bullpen, the Tigers took a chance and inked Johnson to a minor league deal. August 5th. He was sent to AAA Toledo in hopes of rediscovering his 2012 form. The results were mixed at best. In 4 2/3 innings for the Mud Hens, Johnson posted a 3.86 ERA, allowing 3 runs, 2 earned runs, and on 4 hits, striking out 2. He was on the verge of being called up after tossing 2 scoreless innings in his 3rd AAA outing. But Johnson requested 1 more appearance with the Mud Hens before getting the call from the big club. Saturday's outing did not go nearly as well. Johnson allowing a run on 2 hits and a wild pitch of his 1 inning of work. Regardless of his very recent track record and shaky final inning in AAA Toledo, Johnson will join the Tigers bullpen on Sunday. That's tomorrow, so we don't have to wait. to see what Johnson brings to the table. But to send Melvin Mercedes, but to save Melvin Mercedes of all people, is probably not a good idea, because Mercedes had pitched lights out, 2 flat innings, no hits, no runs, no nothing. 2 strikeouts too, I think. I think Mercedes should have been kept up, and I would say that I'd say that Chad Smith gets sent down if he's still on the Tigers roster. So instead of Mercedes, because then I would have Mercedes and Jim Johnson. We'll still have to see. It's still a wait and see approach for Justin or Jim Johnson pitching on the mound. Previewing Sunday's afternoon game, Robbie Ray will go on the mound for the Tigers against Chris Young. Robbie Ray is 1-2 in his major league career, a .531 ERA. Chris Young is 11-6 with a .320 ERA. Robbie has played 5 games, started in 4 of them, through 20 and a third innings pitched, gave up 25 hits, 12 runs, all earned, including a home run, and his opposing batting average is .309 with a 162 WHIP and a 0.79 ground out air out ratio. Chris Young is a right-handed pitcher. Once again, he's 11-6 with a .320 ERA. 24 games, 23 started, 140 and 2/3 innings, 112 hits, 51 runs, 50 of them earned, 19 homers, 3 hit batsmen, 46 walks, 2 intentional, and 88 strikeouts, a 218 opposing batting average, a 112 WHIP, and a 0.36 ground out air out ratio. So I'm going to say good luck, Robbie Ray. You're going to need it. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I need some sleep. Thanks for listening to Taylor's Detroit Sports episode 29 on Spreaker. My name is Taylor Phillips. You can find me on Facebook as Taylor Phillips. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. And join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. And follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips with 2 L's. Sunday's game will start at 1:08. It'll be televised on Fox Sports Detroit. And it'll be aired on the radio on 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit, WXYT FM and HD1. And all over the state of Michigan and northwest Ohio and the Toledo area on the Detroit Tigers radio network. TTFN, ta-ta for now.